Well, hey guys, what's up? What is going on out there today? Hey, Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. Another episode of the Tennis Mindset Project. And today's episode, very short message for you. But I want to make sure I get something to you today because I think it's important. And this is really for those players who are honest to God trying to become better and are willing to do just about anything to make that happen. And I think that this says it all right here is that when you embrace struggle, right, when you welcome it in, when you embrace it, meaning that you've decided that what you heard you should be doing in terms of some fitness training or some kind of a drill, and your first thing, oh yeah, that's just so boring. That right there is a message that you don't want this thing bad enough, right? So I want to make sure that I help you get out of your comfy confines of whatever that is. I mean, it could be as simple as, hey, you've got to start playing some practice matches outside of your club, outside of your tennis facility, right? You've got to start playing with other players, so that you start to figure the game out based on your opponents, right? It's way too easy. It's way too comfortable to play the same guy in the same day of the week at the same time on probably the same court at your tennis facility. And it's just not making you reach, right? It's not a struggle. It's not something that you have to figure out because you know this opponent so well. So, in that example there, I'm going to tell you look, even if it means you got to call someone up that you've never played before and you got to introduce yourself. Hey, I'm so and so. By the way, someone suggested I give you a call that you might want to play a couple, 2 or 3 sets. How about if we do a home and home? I'll come over, play at your facility, and then the next week, why don't you come over here and play at mine? Whatever it is. But once you embrace struggle, and again, I just gave you a really easy example. Part of struggle could be that you've got to get out there on just a crappy, lousy, cold, windy day. And you got to haul a ball machine out there and you got to go back on court 10 where no one can see you. You're all by yourself, right? And the conditions suck, but you just got to do it. You got to put in the work. Or you wake up one day and just don't feel it in terms of getting in the gym that morning. And yet, screw it. You just have to do it. And and once you embrace struggle, and I kind of look for it now, right? I mean, look, we're all really good on those days where everything's going right? Everything's popping right. We feel great. We go out there. We have a great practice session. Everything's cool. Go in the gym. We feel energized. Whatever. But I now look for those days where I don't feel great, right? Where the conditions suck out there, where I just don't feel like it. I look for that. I embrace it. I welcome that struggle in because here's what happens when you do that. You instantly start to separate yourself from the rest of the pack, from the rest of the players who are right there at your current skill level, whatever that is. It's all relative. It doesn't matter if you're, a top player in your age group or whatever, or if you're just starting to learn how to play. You've got to find ways to separate yourself and start doing things that very few players are doing. And that's just having this mindset, this attitude, and this effort to embrace the word struggle. And when you do, you begin to separate yourself from the rest of the pack. And that's what we all want. That's how we get better, is we start doing things under certain conditions that 98% of the players just won't do. They'll just find an excuse. They'll find a reason not to do it today. They'll find an excuse. And it's easy. It's so easy to find an excuse when things aren't going right. When you're out there in a match and things are not going your way. You played yesterday. You played brilliantly yesterday. Whatever. The opponent just was perfect, right? It's just a matchup style-wise perfect for your game. The conditions were unbelievable, right? I mean, weather was just right, no wind, whatever. They put you on a great court, and boom, everything went great. And yet you come out today, you got a different opponent. Things don't feel right as they did yesterday. The weather conditions aren't as great as they were yesterday. And you know what? Things aren't going well. And I'm telling you, if you have already embraced struggle in your practice stuff, you know what you're going to do? You're going to find a way a lot quicker today in that match to be able to win when things aren't going your way, as those other players who now they start looking for excuses. Look, I mean, I see it. I see it all the time. I used to be one of those players that when things were not going my way, I would start the excuse building story right away, so that if I lost the match, right, I could be able to go to my buds up there on the deck and go, oh well, here's why I lost today. Here's the reason. It's just baloney. It's just BS. It's just an excuse. I would much rather lose a match where I just fought like a dog and I tried to work everything out possible because things were not going my way. It was a real struggle, but I just kept competing and working and looking for ways. And look, it's never a guarantee. We know that. And that's the tough part, right? Is since there's no lockdown guaranteed formula for winning on days when things aren't going your way, the best thing you can do is have this attitude and this mindset that you're just going to get everything you can, both mentally and physically, to try to find a way on this particular day when you're struggling, when things aren't going well. Those are the kind of players that, man, I want to coach those guys all day long, right? It's the other guys that come off the court and they start making excuses as the first thing. I don't want to hear it. Just don't want to hear it. So look, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying that I used to be that guy, and I finally figured out I don't want to be that guy anymore. Just don't want to do it. So to get back to the title today, when you embrace struggle, this happens. And what that is you are that kind of player when things aren't going well that you find a way to win. May not be pretty. It may be that the definition on that day of your tennis abilities and skills, you know what? It wasn't a beauty contest out there. How many matches have we won where it's just not a beauty contest, right? Unfortunately, that can happen a lot, and that's okay. That's just the reality of being a top player. Is once in a while you have one of those days where boom, everything is clicking. You're hitting on all cylinders. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time you got to find a way. Most of the time if it's not a full-on struggle, it's a semi-struggle. So, all right, there you have it. Hope this has been helpful. Guys, look, I want to hear from you down below in the comments area. Let me know. Any questions on any remarks, comments, or feedback, let me know in the comments area. You can do that. Love to read those and respond to you. Or if you want to keep the conversation private, we can do so with an email, brent@webtennis.com. Look, and if you've not yet picked up my free, it's a 20-minute video course on my 4 step-by-step between points routine, which is really what I call the 80-20 reality. 80% of our matches that time is spent between points and on side changes, only about on average 20% of the time when we actually play in points. And to kind of segue into how this works with the struggle is that during those matches when you're struggling, if you manage the 80% of the match really well, that between points time and side changes, you set yourself up for a much better chance to figure out a way to win on that day when things are not going well. So if you've not picked up this free video yet, it's about a 20-minute video, my 4 step-by-step between points routine, just go on over to webtennis.com, drop in the first name and email address, and you will be all set to go. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Hope this message was helpful. As always, it's time. We have to get out there. We got to help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, see you again next time.